Hey everybody, welcome back to Kat's Kitchen. Today we are making some more breakfast sandwiches for the freezer. I have pre-cooked my bacon and sausage. I did the bacon, I cut it right in half and put it on a sheet pan on a wire rack to bake in my oven, and then I just kind of pan fried the sausage there on the stovetop. So here I'm just showing you all the eggs that I have here. I have my box of 90 eggs and then some left over from the previous case that I bought. And we're going to be going through quite the many eggs today. I think I end up using close to 60, between 60, maybe 60 to 65 eggs total. And then that's kind of how I judge how many sandwiches I get, because I usually do roughly one egg per sandwich. So this ended up making, around 60 sandwiches. So I am just going to be cracking a bunch of eggs here in my large bowl. And you can use either a whisk or, get your beaters out and blend this up, whatever works best for you. And later on, I'll just be adding a little bit of salt, pepper, and milk to this. Now, I am going to do the sheet pan eggs again. And each time, I'm sure you guys, if you've been with me now for a while, you've seen me make many breakfast sandwiches for the freezer. And I do have a playlist for, meal prepping if you want to go check that out. However, each time I do this, I try to just be as efficient as possible with my time. I've noticed that the sheet pan eggs are definitely the most efficient way of making all these eggs at once. I've tried to make, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe I've filled up two of my skillets on my stove. That's really all I can do at once. That's the best way I can do it on the stove top. And I think maybe I can do 4 dozen on my stove top at once, possibly, if I'm lucky. But here, like I said, I can do so much more, a little bit more capacity in my oven on the sheet pan. Just be careful if you are doing sheet pan eggs that they don't spill over into your oven. That's unfortunately what happened to me on this day. And unfortunately, I'm getting some shells in there too, but I am going to get all of these out. Actually, if you end up getting shells in your eggs, they actually just sink right to the bottom. So there's really no need to worry there because they're heavier, they'll sink to the bottom. But yeah, so going back, I always keep foil on the very bottom layer of my oven in case, anything does spill. That way I can just remove the foil fairly easy and replace it. So I've been under the weather for the past week or so now. So I'm still recovering, but I'm on the near end of it now. You might be able to hear it in my voice. But anyway, so here we are. We are working here to get our eggs seasoned up. I also made, I have a short on it, but one of the days that I was sick, I made a beef and lentil soup. And that was actually one of our favorites that we've had. It was very hearty, and that would be really good for, either lunch or dinner, whatever you need it for. So that was our lunches for the week. And Mark really enjoyed that too. So I'm trying to find soups and one pot meals that he really enjoys. That way it kind of makes my prepping and my cooking a little bit easier because I can cook a little bit more at once that way. And then we'll eat it for lunches for the week. So I'll fill you guys in on the mistake that I made with these sheet pan eggs and why they spilled in my oven. You'll see here in the next clip that I actually try to be very careful and put the pan in the oven first and then pour the eggs, in that way so that I don't have to try to transport the sheet pan to the oven and spill that way. But I just filled up my pan way too much, and then whenever I went to close the oven rack, that's whenever it spilled. So just be careful of that. Okay, so here I am. We're fixing to pour our first sheet pan eggs here. I'm putting the smaller pan that I have on the bottom rack because it's not as close to the heat element on the top. I feel like my larger pan is going to need, to be closer to the top. And this is unfortunately where I make my mistake, and I'm pouring way too much eggs into this pan. I'm thinking that I'm, doing an awesome job here, like filling this pan up, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Whenever I go to close the rack, that's whenever it spills. So, and then later on I had to clean my oven because it definitely gets smoky and it wants to burn off. So just be careful that hopefully that does not happen to you. Alrighty, so here I'm showing you we're going to be making croissant sandwiches. These croissant sandwiches are going to be bacon, egg, and cheese. I got the smaller ones from Sam's Club this time because Mark has told me that he prefers smaller sandwiches in the morning. And these actually came with more. So there were 20 in this pack. And I think the larger ones that I was getting were maybe 12. So that was great. So with that, we were able to make more sandwiches, and he's able to get the smaller sandwich that he likes. And obviously this is a little less in calories too. I think I might even transition over to a smaller wrap for him as well, because when you see that when I start building these sandwiches, I really don't need the large wraps either. So I'm going to look for maybe a medium size wrap for him as well. Fewer calories, you might as well. This year, I'm really trying to do my best to order all of our proteins from local farms. And even our chickens, our milk. I'm even going to try to get cheese from a local farm as well. So I really want to, all of those, dairy and animal products, I really want those to be farm raised and local. And I always encourage you guys to check that out too. There's those large wraps that I was telling you about. Yeah, I'm going to try to find those in the medium. But yeah, anytime you can support a local farmer, a local rancher, it's always going to be beneficial. Obviously for, the economy, your local economy, and it's going to be healthier for you and your family too. I'm starting to be a lot more conscious of what I'm feeding my family, and I just want to feed them the best food possible. And if you're curious of where to find the farmers or whatnot, well, for starters, if you have a local farmers market around you, I would look into that either with Facebook or, sometimes they'll have a website you can go on, and they'll be paired with obviously all the local farmers that come in. You're going to obviously see lots of fruits and vegetables at the local farmers market, but also some of them are ranchers and they sell, all the other products that you may be looking for as well. All the, protein products, eggs, milk, cheese, etc. So here is a look at our sheet pan eggs in our little assembly line with our protein. I also wanted to mention, if you're looking for local ranchers, try your local Amish farms and, just do a Google search and just see about ranchers or farmers that are around you and look at the Google reviews. And sometimes you'll be able to, they'll take you on a tour of their farm. That way you can see exactly how the animals are raised and how they're treated, etc. And I've noticed that some of them will even have classes on butchering if you're interested in that as well. So here I'm just showing you I'm using my serrated knife to cut these sheet pan eggs. I'm just taking the knife all the way around the pan, and then I'm just going to cut them into like little bar sizes. So yeah, so this, like I said, this is probably the easiest way, the most effective and efficient way that I have found to make these sandwiches. And now we've found that his favorite bread product are definitely the croissants and the wraps. So this is probably how I'm going to make them from here on out, unless I find maybe something else that he likes. But the croissants and the wraps, they freeze beautifully, they thaw out and reheat beautifully. All the other things that I've tried in the past just either got weird in the freezer or it changed the texture or something like that. So I'll always be honest with you guys, and I try to, keep improving with my videos and my recipes. So if I've made a mistake in the past, I will let you guys know that, just to stay current with what we're doing here. Okay, so you see me doing the eggs and bacon and the sauce, and I'm forgetting to put cheese on these ones. I actually realized that, and then I go back and add my American cheese to these few sandwiches because you can't have a good sandwich without cheese, right? Also, I found out that once it's melted, it actually helps hold the whole sandwich together, so it is a really important binder here. And here you can see I'm adding the cheese. Yay! And yeah, you can use any sauce of your choice, your liking. I end up having to cut some of these sheet pan eggs in half widthways because they were just a little, some of them were just a little bit too, fat to put on this sandwich, as it were. So I just, slice them in half. So you just kind of work with what you got and what kind of bread product you're working with and what will fit on your sandwich the best. And here I'm showing you, I'm just cutting them in half here. These sandwiches are, I have to mostly make him sandwiches because he normally eats these in the car on the way to work. And, um, whether he's working during the week or on the weekends. So I know I could make him other things such as oatmeals, like a baked oatmeal or like quiche and whatnot. However, those are more sit down meals, and so for those type of dishes, I usually make those more on the weekend when he's home for more of a king's breakfast. If you're interested in what king's breakfast is, I actually made a whole playlist on it, and it's really kind of cute. It's something that I started before we were married, and I just called it King's Breakfast, and I have a lot of different breakfast ideas over there for you. So on the weekends, I try to make him a hot breakfast at home, just like a nice, it ends up being about brunch by the time we get going and we just relax and everything. So it's a really nice time together. And I just kind of carried it through when we got married, obviously. So it's a really cute idea for someone that you love. Just want to make them nice breakfast in bed or in the kitchen or whatever, your heart desires there. cooking and cleaning, taking care of the house, those things have always to me been just a way of showing my love to someone. So I just try to implement that in everything that I do. So now here you see that I ran out of bacon on some of these, so they're just going to be egg and cheese and sauce. And that actually ends up happening whenever I get to the wraps as well. Some of the wraps are just going to be egg and cheese. But not to worry. So what I'm doing here is I have my gallon-sized freezer bags. I end up rearranging these sandwiches once they're all made because each one is just a little different. So what I do is I try to put a variety of each type in the gallon bag. What I'll do is I'll keep the majority of these sandwiches down in our basement freezer, and I'll pull up 1 gallon bag at a time, and so that it can hang out in the kitchen freezer. And then we just use those for a couple weeks and then, go down and grab another bag. That's kind of how I rotate them. So in order to have like a nice variety in each gallon size bag, that's really nice for him so that he doesn't have to eat the same thing, for weeks at a time. And there I was just cheersing you. Drinking my collagen drink. It's a pineapple mango. It's really not bad. Here I am just setting up my assembly line for my wraps. You guys have seen me do this before. If you're new here, I just put a piece of paper towel down in between each wrap. This helps me go so much faster. I'm wrapping all these sandwiches in paper towel. If you're new here, I'll explain because for the reheating process, it's just so much faster. Usually I'll take the sandwiches out of the freezer at least the day before we need them, and then by morning they're thawed enough, and he'll heat them up in the microwave for about 45 seconds. You can heat them from frozen if you need to. They're just going to take a little longer, probably close to a minute to maybe a minute 20 seconds or so. You just have to keep kind of pinching it a little bit to see if it's warm in the middle. So here I'm working on our wraps here. I'm even cutting some of these eggs in half depending on, the portion size that he likes. And then I'm just adding the cheese and our sausage in our sauce. So from start to finish on this day, I think it took me a total of about roughly 2 hours. But for 2 hours of my time, I was able to make about 60 sandwiches. So I think that is a really good trade-off here. So that's 60 breakfasts that he has prepared in, for the morning in the freezer. I normally don't eat breakfast, if you're curious. I only eat it on the weekends with him, and it's usually closer to lunch anyway. I actually do intermittent fasting. I'm not, promoting it or anything. That's totally up to you and what you're, for your health. And, I would recommend you guys to look into that if you're curious about it. If you are curious about it, Dr. Berg on YouTube is a really good person to follow. I obviously don't do keto, but I do believe in intermittent fasting for myself. It works out really nicely. Alrighty, so here I'm just showing you I'm mixing up the sandwiches here and putting them in our gallon freezer bags. And because these sandwiches are smaller this time, because he requested that, I can actually fit a little bit more sandwiches in each gallon bag. I do reuse these gallon bags whenever I make his sandwiches. Obviously, if they get a little yucky, I have to throw them away, but I do try to use them for either bread products later on or, to make his sandwiches again. So Mark goes through these fairly quickly, obviously, because he does work anywhere between 6 to 7 days a week. However, if you need to keep these in the freezer, I believe they would keep for a good 6 months wrapped this way. But as you see how frequently I make these videos on these, these sandwiches here will tend to last me about 3 months. So I try to make at least 3 months worth at a time, which for me is a big win because I want to make sure that he has proper food to eat and he doesn't have to eat out at fast food or drive through somewhere. When he started his new job, I actually started making these for him. And, we got like some nice coffee for him. So I'll set the coffee maker the night before. And now he has a nice breakfast sandwich on his way to work. And it's just like a nice little thank you to him for working so hard for me. So, friends, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this inspires you to maybe make some pre-made breakfast sandwiches for your freezer. And I hope that you enjoyed this video today. And please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys all on the next one. Bye-bye, friends.